Hi everyone, this is Nicola. So I've had 12 years in the beauty industry. I previously worked at Boots as a buyer and I was there for 6 years before being one of the co-founders at Deciem back in 2013.
Hi everyone, I'm Danny. I'm the Chief Customer Product Officer at Thrive. So I've been working in industry for about 10 years now on both the provider side and also the client side. Right, so I think it's good to just kick off a little bit about us and what we do as a company. So there are three key things that we serve for our clients, one being the learning experience platform, which we're here to talk about today with Deciem. So we have a very shiny, amazing learning experience platform, which we've created completely from scratch ourselves in-house based on all our collective experience of the industry and what's going on, and also various other platforms we've used in the past. We've taken a huge amount of inspiration from social learning and also how we consume content in our personal lives. So we looked at things like LinkedIn and YouTube and Spotify and how we consume content, and built this really great system, which we're going to talk about today. We also have an off-the-shelf learning catalogue, which is 100 really modern, different micro modules, so no less than 10 minutes. So these are all look really different, and they're really, really simple, and they're around things like leadership, sales, customer service, even mindfulness, mental health, and that sort of thing. So it's a really eclectic mix for our catalogue, and they all come included in our LXP. And then we also have bespoke learning services. So our backgrounds for a lot of us in bespoke learning. So we love to work with partnership with clients on bespoke projects as well.
And then what Deciem does, so we are a global beauty company. We have over 6 brands, including The Ordinary. We have offices in the UK, US, Canada, Australia, South Korea, Hong Kong, Germany, and France. We have shipped over 70 million units today, with revenues of this year over 350 million. We have 42 of our own Deciem retail stores. We have 39 store-in-stores in department stores such as Harvey Nichols, Selfridges, Fenwick, and even fashion retailers like Topshop. And we are stocked in over 50 retailers all over the world, including Sephora, Douglas, Ulta, QVC, and Boots. So the challenges that we were facing at Deciem, we were a startup back in 2013 and experienced quite a rapid growth. And we had feelings where it wasn't always one team, especially between our head office. There was a divide between head office and our stores team and our manufacturing team. And we really needed a go-to place where team members could access learning when they needed, so if that was on the shop floor or if it was to help them with the task at hand. We also needed to have consistent product knowledge with over 300 different SKUs. There was a lot to learn for new members to the team, and we had to make sure that was consistent all around the world. We felt like we didn't really have anywhere to embrace the internal passion and celebrate success that we had within the company. And when we did our employee surveys, communication always scored really lowly, often people finding out about things after they'd already launched to consumers. And whilst we have a very passionate team, there was somewhat of a chaotic culture without the appropriate communication and platform to hold everything together.
So what did Thrive do as a platform to help with this? So one of the great things about Thrive is that it really produces one central area for everyone to go to consume all learning, knowledge sharing, but also communications. So it's great that it can sort of sit as part of everyone's day-to-day operational, because they're using it to get really key messages that they need for their day-to-day work. And while they're going through that, they can also develop themselves and access all the learning. So one thing we also really believe in is self-directed learning and giving people an opportunity to have an area where they can go to and actually develop as quickly or as slowly as they like. So if they're really passionate, as Nicola said, and lots of Deciem's employees are super passionate about the brand, it's really lovely to see. And it means they've got this one place they can go to actually develop their careers and to progress themselves. Now, another thing we also have done with the platform is auto-curated content. This is really key. So I think sometimes with the LXP, they're these beautiful shiny systems, but haven't got any content in them, and it's quite a lot of work to then fill them. So we've created some really nice tools with auto-curated content, which allows us or Deciem to pull in content for all their content providers. So we've got an integration with Get Abstract, for example, and LinkedIn Learning, which Nicola will talk about a bit later. And it allows you to put in this content and really make it a great, rich environment for people. I guess another thing that's worth mentioning around the solution as well and Thrive is the fact that it's not just about connecting people with content and communications, it's also actually about connecting people together. And for Deciem, this is really important because we've got a global team, as Nicola said, quite dispersed, and actually want people to connect with each other as human beings. So we've got a lot of tools in the system as well, which can help people actually find experts, find mentors and coaches, and generally just have a snoop around actually on who's in the business and what people do as well. So if people want to be interested in other roles, they can absolutely get to know what different parts of the business do and potentially move into those areas one day. So that's the sort of bit of summary about the platform and how it practically has helped Deciem team. I want to talk a little bit around the onboarding journey and how we helped Deciem as Thrive, a team of people. So the onboarding journey for Deciem included a customer success manager who was assigned to their account. So that was a lady called Georgia. And when you come to launching LXPs, it's sometimes a little bit of a scary thing because it is a bit of a cultural change and a new way of working sometimes. And we really held Deciem's hands for the whole process. So Georgia was dedicated to them, and she worked with them on their content strategy, which is a really big part of the project. So looking at what content you have, what can you auto curate, what can you find. She even actually was over in Canada for a few weeks, running more workshops with the learning leads team. So these are sort of champions around the business to actually help them create content. So they had a really intense week where they just steamed through creating content to make sure there was enough in there for go live and everyone was comfortable using it. She also did a lot of work around the launch planning and engagement campaigns. That's something else that we do with Deciem, which is working out how are you going to land this in the business? How are you going to communicate this to people? How are you going to make sure people know that what to do with it? And it's a very new platform for someone like Deciem and a new area as well, learning something they didn't really have as much before. So that was really key that we worked with them on that. So it's a very intense hand-holding situation that we went through with them.
So then in terms of how we created a buzz, so we had lots of different launch parties, we had store celebrations, we did competitions, we did different challenges. And when I get onto our platform, I'm going to show you one of the things we did, but we encouraged all of our office teams to create a video just introducing their department and what they do. And naturally, it was amazing to see people really get creative, and we released one of those each day. So it really gave people a reason to come back and check. And we're just about to roll that out with our store teams as well. So each of our Deciem stores are currently creating their own video to share on the platform. One of the other things that we partnered with Thrive on was our leadership series. So we knew if we were launching this new platform, we wanted to have lots of amazing content on there. And one of the topics that we really wanted to engage our team on was leadership. And we had looked at lots of different kind of face-to-face training companies and different standard leadership programs out there. But we decided that, leadership really comes from the leaders of an organization. And we want to really state what our values are and what we expect of everyone when they show leadership qualities. So Thrive actually worked on a bespoke series of us, which was over 8 weeks, with a 5 to 10 minute video each day, so 5 in each week, which featured myself and different directors in the business talking about what leadership means to them, what qualities we expect to see. And we've had amazing feedback so far. So we're into week 4 of the leadership series. We've already had over 17,000 completions and over 1,000 employee comments. So we are now 6 months in. So some of the things that we've started to see, we've had improved communication. So people now feel like they know what's going on within the business, whether they're based in South Korea or the UK or Canada, whichever office or store location, they're feeling engaged with each other. Again, we've got those team videos, so people are really starting to understand and be able to have visibility to other areas of the business. We've had vast improvement in product knowledge, and that's coming through on reviews that we're seeing. People are kind of feeding that back into our customer happiness team. And we know our store teams are feeling a lot more confident that they have the resources they need. There's some great off-the-shelf content. So we took the off-the-shelf content that Thrive had to put in there, and really we've just had this amazing campaign for learning where people are really now interested in developing themselves. We've integrated LinkedIn Learning, as that was to give and that integrations works really seamlessly into the LXP. So someone searching for a particular skill, they can not only see if it's covered on something that a user has posted, they can also maybe see LinkedIn learning courses related to that. And then Get Abstract has been an amazing book integration where we have the summaries, so ability to read over 1,000 different books in 5 to 10 minute summaries, which has been great for the team. So I'm now just going to go into the platform so you can see. So this is our home page currently. And really at the top, this is our highlights section, which I'd say is the area that everyone kind of engages in with the most. And when it comes to the Thrive platform, we were able to actually control the order in which all of these parts came onto the homepage. That was all customized to how we wanted it to be. So the highlights, you can currently see this is for the week 26th of November to the 30th of November. So we're updating this frequently. So this is kind of the top section, so you can kind of click through the highlights, and I'll go in and show you a few at the moment. But this is what our L&D team decide that effectively what we want to really call out and have in that top section. We then have the essentials. So this is that when we're rolling out pieces of learning content that are mandatory. You can see there I'm clearly overdue on much of my e-learning, but the teams will be able to see that what's been curated for them, perhaps by their own management, so that they can get through that. And then we have the newest section. So this is in a timeline order. So as things get uploaded, they appear here. And then this is for you. So this is for things that based on the tags or the people I'm following that the system curates as most relevant to me. And then there's a meet the people section below. So in terms of just kind of looking at how some of this content is populated, so this to kind of give you an example of so the social corner is basically so this is someone who works in our social media team, someone full of character. He put this on yesterday, just kind of a call out around some of our feedback that we've had on our Instagram account during our Black Friday campaign. So we posted this yesterday. There's already been 110 views. I should say actually we're 900 employees, of which about 300 is in our offices, about 300 working in our retail stores, and about 300 working in our manufacturing and warehousing. And we've already had comments of, encouragement, people saying, love it, this is amazing, this is what it should be called. So just a really great way for people to engage on the platform. We also, on the highlights section, we've just launched our most recent employee feedback survey. So really important things we can make sure people are seeing. This is Jessica, our finance director, who's talking about what leadership means to her. So a really great way to push content out there. Christina, who's our amazing learning and development director, she's giving the team an update. This was the bespoke leadership series that I mentioned that we worked with Thrive on. You can see the week we're in there. This is people kind of sharing memories of Brandon, who was our founder. This video actually is one that I did just talking about our new wellness program, which was called Hugs. Again, 26 comments of people just saying, how proud they are to work for a wonderful company. So just a really nice way of getting employees engaged with what we are doing. And so those would be the types of things that we pick out on the highlights to make sure people are seeing them. But then even in the kind of news section, there's always nice content on there. For example, this one, we've got a really busy time at the moment with our blackout campaign. Our Nottingham warehouse yesterday shipped just under 6,000 orders, which was a really great achievement. So it's just really nice for the team to be able to share real-time things that are happening within the business. So this is just where, the nice thing about this is whether it's something that our creative team have produced, they can upload it. People also just do their own videos with a phone. You can ask questions, people can answer them. So there's lots of different formats on how we can push things on here. For example, we're just moving our head office in Toronto. And this is someone actually giving, I'm just going to mute this. So this is one of our team members actually walking through the downstairs of our new head office to show them where we're moving, our new training theatre. And so it's just a really easy way, even if someone doesn't want to be on the camera, they can do a video and just show things very quickly to the rest of the team. And then obviously just great getting kind of that feedback from the rest of the team. So that is how the homepage looks. And And then the next part I want to show you is probably on the Discover page. So, I mean, the footprint just effectively shows the things that I have been clicking on. So the Discover page, so this is where we have all of the different tiles, and this is what our learning and development team control to try and help understand what we want to show. And I think, you know, one of the reasons we chose the Thrive LXP is because we wanted a whole blend of something which could be our training e-learning platform, as well as something that could be an intranet, as well as something that could really be a comms platform. So some of the things you're going to see on here, we have, for example, e-learning. So this would be our ordinary e-learning. So we have a whole range of product and range series on here where you can click through, and it'll actually give you the entire e-learning courses where you go through to the quizzes, kind of your traditional e-learning. So that sits under this. But then you might also find, so this is where we host Get Abstract. So again, you can come on here and you can see different book summaries, whether they're audio books or whether they're just kind of a 5-page PDF. And just go back onto the Discover. But then even, you know, human resources, we're just starting to populate this now with different policies. So we can come in here and, for example, see actually this is our HR perks document. So for anyone that's new to the business, this is somewhere where we can store PDFs, anything that they need. They know if they come into this Discover section, they've got a really good chance of finding those materials. So this is really where kind of the e-learning content sits, as well as more of the intranet sits. Whereas for us, then the homepage is a mixture of those two, as well as a comms part. Then I guess, you know, another nice feature is the search functionality. So if I wanted to search, for example, an ingredient, so niacinamide is one of our ingredients. So I can now see different videos, different articles that would include that ingredient. Or if I was to search a skill, so perhaps leadership, again, I can see different things from our leadership series to videos that contain that word leadership. And I can also see people that have leadership in their bio. Then I guess in terms of kind of a team perspective, so I could go on, so for example, so Kevy actually, who's our social, if I was to search Kevy on here, sorry, Kevin, he comes here and then I can see his position. So he's our social media associate manager. I can see his skills, things he's interested in, his little bio. I can see his contributions, so the different things he's uploaded, as well as his score. So if there's anyone you kind of want to just understand a bit more about their profile, you can go and find them, you can follow them, so you can always see their content on your homepage, as well as, you know, the grab a coffee feature, which I know is coming soon. So that's kind of how the homepage works from kind of, I guess, a user perspective. If I want to see my own team, I can click on here. So everyone who is a direct report, it then loads with kind of where they're, how much learning they've overdue, who's kind of the most person that kind of populates the most within the platform, kind of the points from my team members in this last month. And then we also have the admin panel as well. So that is kind of the platform at the moment. So I'm just going to jump back now to the presentation to go. So in terms of our engagement results, so we've had over 72,000 engagements or learning moments since we launched. We've had over 90% of employees have logged in the 6 months we've been live, but we had 66% live within the first 3 weeks. And actually we found that nearly all of our office teams and retail teams had logged in. It was more production who hadn't logged in, and that was an issue we had internally in terms of making sure that they had computer access. We've had over 44,000 videos viewed since launch, which was an average of 75 per learner. And we've had over 15,000 learning pathways completed since launched. So in terms of how we got there, so, you know, strong partnerships across functions was a really key thing, getting our learning and department team to really work with all the different departments to get their buy-in, and surveying our learners to understand what they wanted from a platform, what they wanted to see, and agility in terms of moving quickly, being kind of changing things depending on the feedback and what we were seeing, and really embracing a micro learning perspective, because we know from our audience that was what they wanted to do in kind of their busy working lives. We did do a pilot to begin with, which was a really successful part. It meant that when we launched, we had lots of content there. So really how the pilot worked was we just 3 weeks before the go live date, we basically had some ambassadors who we kind of picked out as the people who we thought would really be leaders within their teams, so that they would get used to the system, they would start posting content, so that when we went live 3 weeks later, they were already kind of whiz hands to get the rest of the company included. And we had a really strong partnership with Thrive. So, Georgia, who was the client success manager, she actually came out to Toronto. She spent time with all of our teams. They went to visit our stores to really understand what we needed. And then, they gave us advice every step of the way. And we're very thankful for the partnership we still have. And even when we've had feedback, for example, we wanted to be able to tag people in on the comment section. Within about a week, they'd got that functionality live for us. So they've always been open to ideas and implementing them, so we couldn't ask for anything more. We had a really strong launch plan. So again, we ensured there was enough content there in the first few months that people would have a reason to keep checking back regularly. And really, we had this global community of champions that were really the kind of early adopters that got the rest of the company excited. Some of the feedback we had, so Thrive makes us feel more like a family. Thrive is a one-stop shop. It has everything you need to know about the company. I love the videos that are being uploaded. It adds a fun and social component to our culture. And I think, we really have felt this whole transformation in our culture from, we had so much passion and energy, but it wasn't necessarily, it didn't have a home to be channeled. So that's what Thrive's really allowed us to do. And it's really, come through on our employee engagement surveys. People now feel like they have resources, they have better access to learning, but the main difference is actually just this feeling of belonging, that they're in the know, that there's good communication all across the globe. And I'll pass it back to Danny.
Yeah, I just wanted to finish up with a few tips around improving your learning culture. So these are just some ideas that we've had from working with clients like Deciem. We do have a guide as well, more information you can download, but some key takeaways for today is, the first one is to take a little bit of time to think about what your L&D brand is, what people perceive as learning in your business. It's sort of the what people are saying about you when you're not in the room kind of thing. And actually thinking about how you can reposition that. So how you can actually reposition learning from a thing people have to do to things that are in maybe events and face-to-face training courses, is something that's slightly different and a bit more engaging for your end users. And as part of that, you will want to create a content strategy. So this is a really, really big part of launching an LXP, but also changing a learning culture, is working out actually how are you going to break down the content you have, how are you going to make it micro, how are you going to make it engaging, and how are you going to also space it as well with regards to sending it out. And I think the third thing is connecting people. So we really, I really encourage you to get people to actually talk to them more. So that could be yourselves as L&D actually going out and talking to people a bit more. I think sometimes we forget to actually interact with human beings. So just talking to people, interviewing surveys, focus groups, and really find out what your end users want to see. And the final one is creating a buzz. And this is really taking a page out of marketing's book, and actually treating your learning like campaigns and treating it like a product that you're selling to customers, and how you can actually promote that in the business and make sure people actually understand the value and the importance of it. But as I said, all this information is in our guide, which Cassie will be sending out to you after this webinar today.
So our first question, I think Nicola and Danny are probably going to kind of combine their answers on some of these questions. But I think the first one is probably for you, Nicola. So it's from Joelle, and she's asking, do you have people using the platform on their personal devices, so on their mobile phones, and has it worked well?
Yep, so it works really well using it from the browser on the phone. I know that there is an app coming, which we are pushing Thrive for. We're very excited for the launch of the app. And I think, the app is something that we know for our retail teams and our teams working in production. They really want to be able to have more access to use it on the iPads we have around for them and on their personal devices. So yes, it works very well at the moment through just kind of Safari on the iPhone is how I use it. But I think it'll get even easier when the app is launched.
Yay, amazing. Hopefully that answers your question, Joelle. Second question we've got from Ian. He's asking, how do you communicate your learning offering? So that's kind of both informal and formal learning, both existing and new content. So how do you communicate it?
So before we launched Thrive, we didn't have any we didn't have a learning platform, and I don't think we didn't even have a learning and development team. So Christina, who's our learning and development director, who I think is on, so hi Christina, she did lots of different face-to-faces with the teams when we were launching Thrive to let them know, you know, we're now starting this learning program, we now have an L&D team, this is what they're here for. And you know, the good thing is now, because the team is so engaged on actually going on to Thrive, any new courses that we launched, so, you know, LinkedIn Learning and Get Abstract, we didn't have them when we first launched Thrive, they came later on. But because people were so used to using Thrive, when we then launched these new different features on it, we could actually communicate to them via Thrive. And also whenever we post anything on Thrive, we have an option where you can notify the whole company, or you can notify just a small group of people. So if we are launching something big, such as when we integrated LinkedIn Learning, once we did that, we then sent a push notification to everyone's email to tell them that LinkedIn Learning was now integrated, and we ran a campaign to encourage people to get onto LinkedIn Learning to see the courses there. So Thrive's actually been a really good platform for us to communicate the learning that we're doing.
Amazing. That was a great answer. Oh, and Ian said, perfect, thank you. You're very welcome, Ian. And now we've got another question. This is from an anonymous attendee. They're asking, did you see an uptick in engagement in e-learning since using Thrive versus a more traditional LMS?
So we didn't have traditional e-learning before. Thrive was kind of our first ever platform. So I wouldn't say I have anything to compare it to, but what I do think is kind of for us, I couldn't imagine a better place, because I think, and maybe actually my only other experience with e-learning was when I used to work at Boots, and you know, I think e-learning's probably come on a long way from then, but I remember kind of having a feeling with a lot of different team members, it used to sometimes feel like a chore, it'd get pushed out, you kind of have to do it for compliance reasons. And so I think kind of being able to have it into a more of a social platform where people can comment on it, there's more discussions happening. I think for me, I see that as a much stronger approach. It's a lot more blended, and I think our people interact a lot better with that approach.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Nick. Another question here. Someone's asking, how big is your L&D team, and how much time does it take to configure and implement? So that might be one that Danny can help you with, but you could probably answer how big is your L&D team?
So our L&D team is now 9 people. So we have Christina, who's our director based from Toronto, and then we have some different field people, and then as well as obviously the internal team who are working on kind of all of the content and pushing things out.
And then I can probably answer from a time perspective. So it really depends on the amount of content that you want to generate. But generally speaking, we're working with sort of smallish teams dedicated to the project, sort of 2 to 3. We also have options such as for Deciem. When we first started working with them, they had a very small team at the time. So George, the CSM, was actually seconded to them. So actually worked integrated as part of their team to help them create content and actually get it off the ground. That's also an option as well if you do find that you're a bit worried about resource on your side. We also have a bunch of advice and articles around what skills and resource you need, which we're happy to send after this to anyone who's interested in reading it.
Amazing. Some more questions in here. So we've got one, again, from an anonymous attendee. Nicola, what made you choose an LXP over a more traditional platform?
So I think for us, it's because we really wanted to have this blend of all 3 things. We wanted to have somewhere to really host learning, but we also wanted to have somewhere that could act as an intranet site, so where we could kind of upload all of our different policies, and then have somewhere which was kind of a social communication tool as well. I think from kind of the learning perspective, I think the thing we liked around Thrive and the LXP was the fact that we had lots of different ways of learning. So, you know, we would have the traditional e-learning modules, whether that was the kind of off-the-shelf ones that we took from Thrive and we took from LinkedIn Learning, or whether that was the bespoke leadership series that we made with Thrive, or whether it's the e-learning modules that our in-house team have created. Those are more focused around the product knowledge side. But then I think we liked the fact that we could also include in our learning things like TED Talks or the Get Abstract books, or, you know, for us being kind of a beauty consumer goods company, you know, we often have different PR stories, or YouTubers will do videos talking about the product. So to be able to kind of load those onto the site and kind of get our team looking, you know, this is what this YouTuber's just talked about on niacinamide, and it's a really good video. So it kind of just allows us to do lots of different types of learning, which I think keeps the team a lot more engaged.
Amazing. So this is another one. So they're asking, how do you monitor content or videos that are uploaded by employees? Is there anyone that checks prior to them being uploaded?
So I'd have to actually check with our L&D director whether we still have that. I know, I think we took it off because I think we had this feeling that, I mean, within the company, all of our employees can email the whole company, all at deciem.com, and no one's ever done anything that kind of we've been against. I think the only time I remember where we had to edit a video was someone did an amazing Halloween video, but they swore halfway through, but in a good way. But then we actually just asked them to actually just redo it, and then in the end our creative team just took that little clip out. But actually everyone's been very respectful of the system. You know, people know that obviously it still represents our place of work. So we've not had any issues with any user generated content.
Amazing, thanks Nick. And this is probably one for you, Danny, which is more about the LXP itself. Donna is asking, how do you measure completion of a learning pathway?
So completion of a learning pathway is based on all the elements that you include. So a pathway could include an event, a link, a video, a quiz, piece of e-learning, absolutely anything we've got on the site. So each of those will complete in their own different way. So for example, if you pass a quiz, that will complete. And then once you've done all the different elements, then you'll complete the overall pathway.
Perfect. And just another one again for you, Danny, more about the LXP. How does the reporting work on Thrive? How long does it take to produce reports from the system?
So with regards to length of time, the reports are pretty instant, in the sense that if you look at sort of the KPI dashboard that Nicola showed earlier, that's updated sort of on the fly. So you can always see how well you're doing with regards to your engagement. When it comes to things like completion reporting and more formal reporting, that's the same. That is, as soon as someone completes something, they'll appear in the report. So you can then just look at that and download it and into Excel, and then manipulate it further if you want to.
Great. And then back to you, Nick. We've got another attendee asking, how are you planning on keeping the engagement up over the next 6 months?
So our L&D team, I guess, are coming up with lots of different campaigns. And, you know, some of that includes some of the C-level execs. So between myself, the COO, our Chief Scientific Officer, we now have a schedule each month. So I'll be doing business updates once a month. So again, just a simple video I record just with my iPhone, just addressing the whole company, things like going well that month, what's coming up in the following month. And we've been very fortunate that our teams have kind of really enjoyed the platform. So, you know, even there was a funny video, I think it was 2 days ago, where our Australia customer happiness team had sent a jar of Vegemite to our Canadian customer happiness team, and they were filming their reactions.
That was
so I
brilliant.
think, you know, when people are kind of really engaged, it kind of just makes it fun. We're going to start celebrating birthdays on there now, so kind of each month, things that are happening with employees, who's getting married, who's having babies. And I think for us, it was really about kind of building that culture. But then we've also got the kind of learning champions who continue to kind of post this kind of new product knowledge. And again, I think the thing that kind of really fits for our business is, you know, if someone joins us, they do a training course on hyaluronic acid, and effectively, you know, that e-learning course there might not be a need to update that because it kind of has all the facts on there. But with this kind of user-generated content learning, each time there's a new study or someone does a new article about hyaluronic acid, it gets posted. So actually, it really keeps that knowledge top of mind because there's lots of fresh ways to engage in on what could be a same topic again.
Fantastic. So we've got time for probably three more questions. So I'm going to ask you another one, which actually hits on quite nicely, Nicola. Alison has asked, do you have face-to-face classroom training too? If so, are these courses advertised on the platform?
Yeah, so we do, we have kind of a field team at the moment, but in our new head office, which was kind of one of the videos I showed, we now will have a training auditorium for 100 people. And so we're going to start to do a lot more classroom learning. And we're actually going to use link it into Thrive in a couple of ways. So first of all, it will be an event, so people can actually book on to attend that via the Thrive site, and they can also see who else is on there. But because that auditorium is based in our Toronto head office, we're also going to film those training sessions and then put them onto the system. So that means someone in Australia can also access that same training course, even though it won't be they won't be there in person. They'll be able to have that same lessons that the team in Toronto have. And one of the features which I know is on the roadmap for Thrive, which again we're excited for, is the live broadcasting. Because what we'd like to do is when we have those kind of face-to-face training sessions in the Toronto auditorium, is actually broadcast them live on Thrive so that all the global offices can have access to if they want to join that event.
Great, thanks Nick. This is probably one more for Danny. James Danny is asking, he said thanks for sharing by the way as well guys, but he's asking, please can you describe what's automated in terms of connecting content and people? What's the level of personalisation and how is this generated with such a large content catalogue? And is it a challenge?
That's a very good question. So we've actually included a few tools to make this pretty simple. So you've got 3 layers of personalization. The first layer is based on groups. So you can set people up into dynamic audiences based on the job role, location, department, that sort of thing, which get updated automatically. So when people move around the business, they get updated, and you can assign content to those groups. So that's a more traditional way of doing it. This is how Deciem used pushed out the leadership series to all their managers, for example. So that's the first layer. So you'll be able to see what you need for your role and that sort of thing. The second layer is when people log into the site, we ask them 2 questions. What do you want to learn? And what can you teach others? And that allows them to select a bunch of tags, a bunch of interests, and that will then inform what they see. So it also connects them. So if I say I'm interested in marketing, I'll see some marketing content. And you guys can, the client, you can define what that actually is. And then the third layer is based on your behavior. So if you go through the site, you can actually remove content from your feed that you don't want to see. You can pin content you can like and share, as you've seen. It also looks at who you're following and your team, what they're looking at, and builds up a map of each person. And then it will change the suggestions based on that. So there's 2 layers. One is for you guys to completely control. The other one's for users to control. And the third layer is based on how they're actually using the system. I hope that helps answer the question. I know it's quite that long.
Thanks, Danny. And then we've got one final question here from Ian. Nicola, Ian, James said thanks, Danny, so that definitely answered his question. Ian asks, are you doing anything with regards to recognition and rewards to drive continuous usage of the platform and learning?
So I guess in terms of recognition, so we've done different competitions where we did one competition which was based on completion. Well, actually, we did a few different things, but one of the ones we did was actually the person that completed the most courses. They actually won a prize where they could visit any Deciem store or office around the world. So that meant you effectively could choose to go from Australia to Canada to the US or anywhere in between. So that went down really well. And then once the leadership series is complete, so we're 5 weeks through that, everyone will get a personal email from myself to congratulate them on completing that leadership series. So we are doing a few bits, but I think, one of the good things that I think myself and a lot of the other leadership team are very good at is we monitor the platform daily. So, even just that example of yesterday when Nottingham had an amazing day shipping out so many, it's nice that actually it takes 10 seconds to just go on and leave a comment saying like, amazing work guys, really good result. And so I think it's actually allowed us the team to feel like they are being recognized more, because actually it's easy for them to share things that they have worked on. And actually it's really easy to kind of get that quick feedback and that quick recognition. So I think that's been a really positive thing, that actually the leadership team can just kind of comment to say kind of well done on, they see a picture, they see an upload. So I think it's really improved that.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Nicola. I think that's it for the Q&A. And I just want to say a big thanks to everyone who's tuned in. We hope you loved hearing about Deciem's story of how they've transformed their learning culture in 6 short months. If anyone has any questions or would like to understand how we at Thrive can help your organisation, Nicola's just sharing our contact details there, and we'd love to have a conversation with you. She's also very kindly shared her email address with you, so if anyone has any more questions for her or wants to know more about choosing the right supplier, and just what it's like working with Thrive, just feel free to drop her an email, and she's happily talk to any of you. So again, I just wanted to say a big thank you, a huge thank you as well to Nicola and Danny today for presenting, and I hope to speak to you all soon.